Good evening, everyone. New for you at 10, additional police officers were called to monitor area schools this week after a school shooting threat was called into our whistleblower hotline. That prompted us to question the juvenile justice system, who handles these types of threats, and what happens next. Valley News Team's Alex Larson spoke with an attorney who specializes in juvenile cases, and what she found out may surprise you.
What happens when a student is behind a threat? According to a juvenile court expert, sometimes not much.
Depends a lot on what's specifically said, how serious the threats are, what the actual words are. I mean, obviously I think our office and every office, law enforcement, etc., takes all of those very seriously. We want our school safe and our community safe overall.
Steiner says there are multiple items of evidence to look into to figure out what is an appropriate charge for threats against a school. Police decide at their initial contact if a juvenile will be taken to a detention center. They use a screening tool to decide that.
Attendant care is lesser on the scale of kind of severity. It's not a locked or secure detention. It's mostly just like a drop-off place until, a parent or a guardian can pick them up, just somewhere to keep them safe until, they can be returned home. Yeah. And so that's one option. Then the other obviously would be secure detention, which would actually be, taking a kid into a facility where they would stay until they got to see a court. After
a juvenile is sentenced, they are assigned a probation officer to work with.
The probation officers will work individually with each kid to figure out, an individual treatment plan for that kid, because obviously every kid's different and comes from different circumstances, and so we're really trying to focus on the individual kid and what works best for that person.
So, does rehabilitation with no punishment work?
The evidence shows that the vast majority of kids do not reoffend as adults.
Steiner says he thinks North Dakota is on the right track with its rehabilitation process to handle juvenile cases, saying that's the biggest difference between adult and juvenile court.
In juvenile court, we don't focus on that punishment aspect at all. We're really focusing on treating the juvenile to make sure they're making better choices in the future.
Alex Larson, Valley News Live.
Steiner estimates that around 200 juvenile cases come through his office every year.